Welcome to Creative Mornings, Charlotte.
We're going to get started a little early this morning. The band's letting me sit with them on a song. It's a song about equality. So we'll see how this goes. One, two, three, four.
With a passing on 64 to give those who ain't got a little more, but it only goes so far.
Cause the law don't change another's mind when all it sees at the hiring time. Rebelwood Mission! Rebelwood Mission!
Never happens twice. Oh, oh, if I lay it on the line, can I be yours and you be mine? There's so much that we need to say. So down this road, here we go.
Our global theme is equality. It was chosen by our chapter in Johannesburg. We approached Abby because we feel like she has a unique way into this theme. And so I'm so thrilled to bring her to this stage. Ladies and gentlemen, here to speak to us on our global theme of equality, please welcome Charlotte's own, the immensely talented Abby Corrigan, everybody. Come on up, Abby.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? Good to see everybody this morning. It's so awesome. I've never done anything like this before, so here's my life story. Ready? Here we go. Okay, so this first part of the video is just to watch, and then I'll start speaking afterwards. But yes, hit it, maestro.
Wow, look at Emma!
Jill.
Jill, Lincoln,
Very good.
and then eat dies. Snail eats flies. Knife. Bully a gun.
Say it again, Big Mouth.
Bully a gun. She said Polly a car.
Stand up straight. Don't look. Yeah, look straight. You are 42 and a half inches. Or 42 and 3/4.
Here we go, Eminem.
Okay, put your feet up. Let's see.
Get her feet up against the wall.
Put your feet, yeah, put your feet. Now, Mommy, see, now look at me. Look straight at me. Look, no, not up. Put your head down. There you go. No, look at me. Right.
Not like that. Just like that now. Yeah.
Oh, oh, boy, right there, Daddy. Okay.
Let's see. Emma
Where did I-
is 35 and 1/4.
35 and a quarter.
Where was she last year?
inches. You were 32. You did grow, Emma.
She goes 3 inches.
I was always a child of perfection in odd ways. I had a messy room, but at the toy store, I always picked the stuffed animal with the most perfect face, and things had to be done in a certain way or I would get upset or angry. I had this idea for a while that people would be perfect or I could shape people into what I wanted them to be. My best friends as children were always more perfect than me, and I saw them that way easily because they weren't my family and they did things differently. And I remember lounging around with them naked and taking in Lily from head to toe and being very puzzled about the way she looked and how Emma and I didn't look the same. There was no opinion behind it. There was only confusion and beauty in the way Lily and Vicky did things, the way she swam, the way the bedroom opened up into the back porch where we would play as long as we wanted. I remember specifically staring at her hands and the shape of her legs, and I still look for them in crowds sometimes. I was fascinated by her blonde hair and the wood floors in her house and how clean it was. We would always go to their house, but we loved going to their house, and we loved our house too. The playroom is what I can remember most in our house. The popcorn carpet and the huge windows that lined it right next to Dad's study where we could play and become anything we chose to that day. Mom would make us costumes, and we would listen to Lion King and Quest for Camelot and ask Dad to play it again and again and again on his guitar so we could run around in circles and dance before bath time and stick our heads out the window of the car and sing the same song over and over and over again at the top of our lungs. And in that way, Emma and I were the same. We were born twin sisters on February 4th, 1998, and my father immediately recognized that Emma had Down syndrome when he first saw her. I didn't ever want to talk about the fact that she had Down syndrome. I would come running over when I heard she was upset, but I never comforted her in a way a friend would. It was only for her protection. I was worried she could be hurt, but only enough to go and check on her. But most of the times, I was right there with her, especially at home, because we were best friends, and we did everything together. And I never really saw Emma as being different, I guess. I just always have seen her as my sister. I could spot a kid with Down syndrome on the street and think, that kid has Down syndrome. But when I look at Emma, I just see Emma. I'm not being cheesy, that's just how I know her. Even my closest friends see her as a person with Down syndrome, and that's okay. Down syndrome facial and body features are very distinct, so it is only human to notice them. But as a child, you are given a gift of ignorance and curiosity, and your eyes see clearer. And I always thought that this is what everyone's sister is like. When you grow up, you just assume that this is the way everyone's family works, the same as everyone else's, until I realized that it wasn't like this for everyone, and I guess that scared me, and I didn't feel like I was in the right place, so I just avoided the subject entirely. But grown-ups always talked about it, and I was extremely aware of the looks I was getting with her at school or even just on the sidewalk, but I didn't register that we were getting the hairy eyeball because Emma has Down syndrome. It's because I was prepared by everyone that we would get looks, and so I expected them from everyone. It was a lot for a 5-year-old to begin to take in, and maybe that's the wall that's been up my whole life about Emma. Someone told me my sister was in danger of being hurt, and I did not want to accept that, so I told myself that everything was fine. I blocked out a lot of things to make it okay for myself to get through things. I mean, my mother came to my preschool and read a book about Down syndrome and not about me, and those things are wonderful, but I wasn't sure how to process them. And I guess hearing the words Down syndrome scared me because I didn't want Emma to have it. And I didn't like that it had to be talked about all the time. And yes, as a child, you are naturally selfish. And so yes, I thought, yes, why does she have to be like this? And my mom told me that the only word I could come up with to describe how I was feeling was disgusting. I didn't want to talk about it. If Emma did something simple, like read a book, it's amazing. But if I did the same thing, it was rewarded less. And of course, Emma deserved more praise than me. She worked harder, and it took a lot of mental effort for her at that age to do something like that. But I didn't understand this because I didn't see Emma as different. And I wanted that same reinforcement Emma received, but I had to find it in different ways. I wanted that equal amount of response from my parents, but it was a bigger feat for Emma to read a sentence. And for me, it was easy. I wanted to level with Emma, and I wanted Emma to be happy, but there were some times when I wouldn't include Emma because I felt then that I was finally in charge. I was powerless at home, and I wanted to be the one people listened to. I remember being jealous of Emma's speech therapy. I wanted a speech therapist, and I wanted to use all the tools to learn and have a special teacher too. Why does it have to be so hard for Emma to read a sentence or to speak even? It's not fair, and I didn't get the same active praise as my sister, and neither thing is wrong. My parents and my teachers didn't do anything wrong. That's just the way that it was. Sometimes my energy can be too much, and I enjoy getting people's attention and becoming overly passionate. And I think whether or not I grew up in the same situation, I don't think I would ever be shy. But reflecting back, I can see I was using some of that energy to try and feel special. I still have a really hard time at parties and big social events keeping my energy down because of this deep in my conscience that I have to be seen or validated as here or cool because of that reinforcement I lacked in childhood. Just like everyone has something from their childhood that affects them, whether they know the reason or not. Me and Emma are equal because we are twins. She has blue hair. She's right over here. There's Emma. And twin telepathy really exists. I could know what Emma was going to say before she even said it, and we were always a team, and I missed that more than anything. But we needed different things, and it was hard for me to wrap my head around that. I almost wanted Emma to change, but I knew she couldn't, I guess, and that didn't stop me from trying to get through to her. My parents would tell me things like, "She has Down syndrome, Abby. She's not going to understand it as well as you," and I didn't want to hear it. I think I knew she understood most things in there, but they couldn't come out the way I wanted them to, and that made me very mad, but also protective of her well-being constantly, because as a sister, that's your job, and that's what I had to do, and no one could touch Emma or even look at her the wrong way, because I was always right there to protect her. Being herself is something we all struggle with, and that is something Emma doesn't. So people like to comment on that. I'm sure she understands what Down syndrome means, and I've seen it hurt her, but not nearly as much as we worry about, of course, what to wear and how we look every day. Emma is so above that in a way. I've had anxiety my whole life, and it will be with me always. But Emma sits in my core with it because I will always be worried about where she is and if she's okay. A lot of my anxiety would stem from her being gone when we were younger, or me not knowing where she was, or if she was all right, and I didn't have sleepovers, and I didn't want my parents to leave me at school before falling asleep, giving them the first clue into my severe anxiety disorder, which crippled me quite a bit from being independent, because I felt so comfortable in a way with the way that everything was. As a kid, you don't know that you're going to grow up. I mean, you do. But you don't know what that entails. You don't know that that means Emma doesn't want the same clothes as you anymore. Or maybe she gets away with things you don't, or vice versa. And it becomes frustrating naturally as a sibling because everyone is using the term twin, which means same. And nothing makes sense anymore because, because you aren't the same anymore. And as we grew up more and more, we weren't as close because I was surpassing her in grade levels and she had to stay behind, and I made friends, and so did she. And then Emma was the easy one because I became the one with the huge schedule and all the classes after school. And then I took her for granted. I did what everyone else did, and I took her for granted. I let go a little bit at some point. Emma would become stubborn, and I would give up trying to get something through to her, forgetting her most valuable traits and abandoning her in a sense, which is human, but I've paid a huge price of emotional blockage for it. And I wish I could have some of those days back when I was selfish and I didn't include you, Emma, but now I'm not as much of an angsty teenager as I once was, and you are my sister. You are my twin sister, and I am so glad that you are. I am so glad that Mom gave you to me, and I love you. There is so much Emma may never understand, but she teaches us the things we forget about, and she reminds us to have patience and to be honest and laugh and cry fully without holding anything back, and that is worth more than life itself. And I believe she holds the key to life because she lives as herself completely, and that is something she can't help, and that is why she is beautiful, and you cannot forget that about her because that is the core of who she is. I believe that she has more of life in her than all of us. Emma still loves to play pretend almost every day, and that inspires me and reminds me to never forget what it's like to be a child. As an actor and a person, you cannot forget that passion because childhood is the time when your senses are the strongest and your mind is the freest, and that is the hardest to emulate as you get older. You learn about the problems adults have. Oh, man. And those facts taint your once clear positive view on the earth, and that is what weighs us all down. But Emma will never have this problem. Emma will never have to worry about most of these issues. Emma will always have to combat bullying and stares, but the rest is for us to worry about. Emma is special because she will be Peter Pan forever, and that is why I look up to her. She has unique wisdom and palpable passion for pretend, and that is all completely from the core of her soul. I couldn't have asked for a better acting teacher. Emma will always be on stage with me no matter what. I bring her with me everywhere and into every role, and I always will. Emma and I will stick our heads outside the window and sing the same songs over and over again for hours, and there's no one else on earth who will do that with me. No one else has ever done that with me the same way. There's truly no one else like you, Emma, and I know that that gets lonely. I was constantly labeled as the normal one, and look how far off that was. We've always been the lonelier ones because of our differences, but I'm glad that you were with me through all of it. I would so much rather be the way that I am. Emma and I have always been our own support system, and we are each other's biggest fans, and that is because we encourage each other to succeed. We see each other's differences, but we see each other past that. I think people are able to connect with Emma because of her ability to recognize art. If nothing else, creativity was a bridge between Emma and I, even when it was hard, because we both shared that passion. Art is so important because it gives Emma and so many others a filter to say what they cannot with dance and paint and song. Art is all around us, whether we like it or not, and creatives are the outlet into the world, that constant reminder that the comfortable is not a place to live. You must do something every single day that scares you, and we are the ones who feel so strongly and do the things that are scary because we will never stop reaching for the truth. It is so easy to sit on a phone and turn your life into a vignette. I truly think that technology is a great thing for many reasons, but social media is what is killing honest connection, which I'm sure you all agree because everyone talks about it, but hardly anyone takes any action to change that because we think we all need it. I don't have any social media because I think that social media makes us dull. I think that technology forces us to see ourselves as better than others and puts things in an odd perspective. Studies show that when you get a notification or receive a text message, the chemical that releases in your body is actually the same chemical that releases when you are in love. This may be hard for your subconscious brain to hear. Whenever I tell people I don't have social media, I always get a "good for you, I could never do that" kind of reaction, which blows my mind because these things are not real. They are replacing the feelings felt with humans that we also cannot touch. We are always searching for connections, and yes, this is a quick fix, but it is no way to live. Real life isn't good enough anymore, according to applications. As creatives, we strive to find connection, and if we can't, it feels very lonely. And yes, if you delete social media, it can feel lonely. I do get sucked back in sometimes because it feels good, but only for a little. We are always searching for a quick fix in life, and nothing good comes from that. And I'm telling you this because I think as a creative, you have to start from within and see that it will always be a long journey when it comes to working on yourself and interacting with others. And the subconscious mind is something that you cannot control, but you can attempt to train it past obstacles. Getting rid of synthetic needs in your life will allow you to see people as they are and not imagine what they could be because of their Instagram profile. These applications are allowing us to see people as better or above because of the aesthetic value of a page. And somehow you are seen as more in just by having a Facebook, and that's a way to make friends. It's so easy to pretend like life isn't happening because we don't want to grow up. We must remember the beginning. History has repeated itself because we don't spend enough time reminding ourselves and really pondering the mistakes we've made and where true value lies. At the beginning, the word equal didn't even exist because it was felt. Equality is a word that is being pushed around too much now, like the word love, and you must go back to the core of where we came from. Find the ape in yourselves that lives in harmony with all the other animals and feel the word equality. It could be something different in your head. You could feel it or see a color or an old picture of you and your father, but that is something no one can take from you because that is in your mind. Equality has never been something that you can see. And I don't think that it means equal in my mind. That seems so harsh because we are all unique and different and ugly and beautiful and happy and sad and hateful and loving and right and wrong because we are human. Everyone holds their own story. Equality is a song. Equality is something that is spoken but can also be felt. So let's go back to the beginning. A girl is not the same, but she is equal because if you look at the anatomy of a body, if you look at the muscles and the nerves, you will see that our mother's wombs were all after the same goal, but with our own unique puzzle pieces. And we start very small, and we learn our name, which is unique and our own, and we learn words and how to say we're sorry, and we learn touch and how to grab onto hands for support and the smell of grass when bedtime was 8 o'clock and goosebumps when you hear the symphony for the first time. And then we learn friendship and what a secret handshake feels like to share in a fort made of blankets when the parents are asleep. And then we learn what love might feel like by a locker. And then we learn that there is life past high school and there's more than just geometry. And then maybe we get on a subway or a bike or a plane, and that song reminds her of the highway screaming back at her and On the Way to Paradise, and we have a moment and think, I'm afraid to do this alone. And we remember crying all night and laughing with friends until your stomach is on the floor, and fighting with mom and fighting with sisters and driving away and looking back because of the memories. But the sky is still the same as where we left it, and the skyline is still on the hill where you pointed out I was different. Maybe she sees in color. Maybe she runs too fast and no one can catch her, but she is strong alone as well as with another, and the word different is a compliment. This can be an equation. You can lay down the definition of equal and write down words I have to swallow, but ask yourself, when you are cut, you cannot deny the feeling of pain on your own skin. My skin is white and female, but it is still skin and it is still human. Down syndrome may mean, by definition, a congenital disorder arising from a chromosome defect causing intellectual impairment and physical abnormalities, including short stature and a broad facial profile. It arises from a defect involving chromosome 21, usually an extra copy, also known as trisomy 21. But that cannot be said by the soul. People may grow up differently, but feelings and wants and needs and I'm sorry's and I love you's are all equal. They are not the same, because they hold different stories, but they are screaming from the mind and the heart, and I am listening. Thank you, everybody.
Abby Corrigan, everybody. Abby Corrigan.
Oh, thank you.
Abby, we have a question back here.
Hi.
You like to act. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
How about Emma? Does she like art, and what does she like to do?
Emma?
Emma.
Oh, yeah. She's taking ballroom dancing classes right now. Emma, do you want to come up here? Come here, Em.
Well, what I see here are two beautifully unique, creative individuals, equal in their own rights, and I want you all to please thank them both for being here today.
Love you, Emma.